My fiancé thought I was asleep when she whispered to her friend, "Once I get his money, I'll be gone in a month." I played along, but on the wedding day I sent her a text. 10 minutes later, she was calling me nonstop. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. Alright, let's get started. You ever have one of those moments where your whole life just shatters? Like one minute everything's fine, and the next, it's all a giant lie? Yeah, well, welcome to my nightmare. I've been with Lauren for 3 years, met her at my buddy Richard's housewarming. She was funny, gorgeous, and seemed to actually like me for me. At least that's what I thought. We moved in together after a year, got this decent 2-bedroom place, nothing fancy, but it was ours, you know? Last year, I finally saved enough for a ring, 3 months' salary gone in an instant, but seeing her face when I proposed made it worth every penny. She cried, I cried, we called our families, the whole emotional show that's supposed to happen. Things were good, until they weren't. About 6 months ago, I got a raise, not life-changing money, but enough that we could start thinking about a house instead of our apartment. Lauren started acting different. Suddenly, our apartment was too small and embarrassing to have friends over. My 5-year-old Hyundai that ran perfectly fine was suddenly not the kind of car my future husband should drive. You get the idea. The wedding planning got insane too. What started as a reasonable 50-person ceremony turned into this 200-plus guest extravaganza with a DJ, open bar, and all this other crap we couldn't afford. Every time I brought up the budget, Lauren would get this look on her face like I was disappointing her. She'd say stuff about how it's once in a lifetime and how her friend Jennifer had this amazing wedding and we couldn't look cheap. I worked overtime, I dipped into my savings, I wanted her to be happy. Right? Stupid me. Last Saturday was when it all went to hell. Lauren had Jennifer and a couple of other friends over for drinks, their monthly girls' night that usually ended with them talking about Instagram celebrities or whatever. I was exhausted from working all week, so I crashed on the couch around 10. The TV was on, and they were in the kitchen about 15 feet away. I wasn't really asleep, just dozing and scrolling through Reddit on my phone. Then I heard my name. Lauren's voice got all low and different, so I just stayed still, kept my breathing even, and listened. She was talking to Jennifer about our finances, about my savings, about how after the wedding she'd have access to all of it, because we'd agreed on joint accounts. Lauren was laughing as she told Jennifer how she'd been pushing for the fancy wedding to test how far I'd go and how men are so stupid when they think they're in love. Then she said it, the words that keep playing in my head like a broken record. Once I get his money, I'll be gone in a month. He's so boring now that all he does is work. There are way better options out there for someone like me. Jennifer asked her what about the apartment lease, and Lauren just laughed again, said she'd already looked into it, and as long as one person stays, there's no penalty. So I'd be stuck with the rent and no savings. I just laid there feeling like someone had dumped ice water in my veins. 3 years. 3 years of my life, all a lie. Every kiss, every I love you, every night spent planning our future. All I wanted to do was jump up right then, scream at her, throw them all out. But something stopped me. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the survival instinct that said, don't let them know what you know. So I just laid there listening to them laugh, listening to the woman I loved, plan my financial ruin like it was a game. They moved on to talking about some reality show, and I slipped away to the bedroom, claiming I was tired. When Lauren checked on me later, I couldn't even look at her, couldn't stand her touching. I told her I wasn't feeling well and faced the wall. Sunday was hell, playing normal, smiling, making breakfast like my entire world hadn't just collapsed. Lauren kept going on about wedding details, and every word out of her mouth made me want to scream. But I nodded. I agreed. I played my part while my mind was racing, trying to figure out what the hell to do next. Monday morning, I called in sick for the first time in 2 years. Waited until Lauren left for her day out with clients. Now I'm wondering if that was even true. And then I started digging. Her laptop was password protected, but I knew it. Her mom's birthday. Inside was everything. Secret email accounts, a separate Facebook account with pictures of her with some guy I'd never seen, credit card statements for cards I didn't know existed with charges for weekend stays at hotels when she was supposedly visiting her sister. It gets worse. She'd been taking pictures of my financial statement, my bank statement. There were screenshots of my investment app, my savings account, even pictures of the inside of my wallet. Everything started making sense. The sudden push for a joint account, the expensive wedding, the questions about my retirement plan. She wasn't planning a future with me. She was planning a future with my money. I spent the whole day taking pictures of everything I found, downloading, saving, then carefully putting everything back exactly how it was. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely type. Called Richard. After my voice was so messed up, he thought someone had died. In a way, I guess something had. He wanted me to confront her immediately, throw her out. But I'm not doing that. Not yet. See, the thing about working with your hands all day is it gives you time to think. And I've been thinking about this nonstop for days now. Lauren wants to take everything from me. She wants to drain me dry and leave me with nothing but an empty apartment and broken dreams. But I'm not going to let that happen. The wedding is in 3 weeks. She thinks I'm still clueless, still the devoted fiancé working extra hours to pay for her dream day. Little does she know I'm working on something else entirely. I'm not just going to break up with her. I'm not just going to kick her out. No, she deserves something special after all her hard work, and I'm going to give it to her. This morning I opened a new bank account. Tomorrow, I'm meeting with the landlord. The day after that, I have a talk scheduled with the venue about their cancellation policy. Lauren thinks she's so clever, thinks she's got me all figured out, but she has no idea who she's dealing with. I'll update soon. This story is far from over. Edit. Holy, this blew up. Thanks for all the awards and support. To answer some common questions. Yes, I have proof. No, I haven't confronted her yet. Yes, I'm keeping track of every penny I've spent on this wedding. And for those asking about the ring, don't worry, I have plans for that too. Edit 2. For those asking for an update, I'm working on it. Things are developing. Part 2 coming soon. Update. First, thanks, everyone, for the support on my last post. Didn't expect thousands of people to care about my train wreck of a relationship, but here we are. The past 2 weeks have been educational, to say the least. After finding those bank statements on Lauren's laptop, I knew I needed to dig deeper. Not going to lie, it felt gross snooping through her stuff. But what was I supposed to do? Just sit there like an idiot while she planned to clean me out? Nah. The morning after my last post, the weirdest thing happened. Lauren made breakfast, pancakes, my favorite, and asked if we could look at houses this weekend. Houses? When I pointed out we hadn't even gotten married yet, and maybe we should focus on the wedding first, she got this smile that used to make my heart skip, but now just made my skin crawl. She said she'd been thinking about our future and wanted to start building our life together as soon as possible. Yeah, I bet you do. I played along, nodded, said we could just look. Meanwhile, my mind was racing about what else she might be hiding. The bank statements were bad enough, but there had to be more. While she was in the shower, I checked her phone. Felt like a complete jerk doing it, but whatever moral high ground I had concerns about was long gone after what I discovered. Her texts with Jennifer were enlightening. Jennifer, how long you planning to stick around after? Just long enough to get the dollar situation sorted. What if he wants kids right away? LOL, I've been forgetting my BC, but taking it secretly. No accidents happening here. There were others too, talking about some guy named Bryce she'd been seeing on the side. Apparently, he drives a BMW and takes her to fancy restaurants when I'm working. Cool, cool, cool. I took screenshots of everything, backed them up to my Google Drive, evidence collection mode activated. That weekend, we looked at houses. Lauren kept pointing out the most expensive ones in each neighborhood, talking about how we could definitely afford it once we combined finances. I just nodded and watched her performance. Oscar-worthy, honestly. The way she held my hand in front of the realtor, how she talked about our future kids playing in the yard, all while plotting her exit strategy. I met up with Richard that night at this dive bar across town where Lauren would never go and told him everything I'd found. He straight up wanted me to ghost her, pack my stuff, and disappear while she was out. But that's not enough. Not after 3 years of my life. Richard thought I was crazy for not just ending things immediately, but he doesn't get it. This isn't just about breaking up. It's about consequences. It's about not letting someone think they can use people like disposable razors and walk away clean. The following week was when I found the dating profiles. Plural, profiles, with an S. I was using her iPad to look up wedding venues while she was grocery shopping. She'd left it logged into her email. There were notifications from 3 different dating sites, all for rich dudes. Elite Singles, Millionaire Match, and some other one I'd never heard of. Her profile pics were recent, like within the last month. Recent. Her bio on one of them literally said, "Looking for successful men who know how to treat a lady." The audacity. In those moments, staring at her smiling face on these apps while our wedding invitation sat on the coffee table, something inside me just hardened like concrete setting. All the doubt, all the maybe there's an explanation thoughts, gone. I didn't confront her obviously, but I did start making moves. First, I opened that new bank account I mentioned, transferred most of my savings, left just enough in our joint account to not raise suspicion, told the bank I'd lost my card so they'd send a new one to my work address. Then I started on phase 2, making her think I had way more money than I actually do. See, Lauren's smart in some ways, but she doesn't know about investing or finances, so I created some fake documents. Nothing illegal. Just some made-up investment statements showing I had about 3 times what I actually have. Used a template I found online, added some official-looking logos, amateur hour stuff that would never fool a professional, but perfect for someone who thinks Robin Hood is just a cartoon fox. I accidentally left the documents on the kitchen counter once. When I came back from the bathroom, they were exactly 1 inch to the left of where I'd put them. Lauren never mentioned finding them, but suddenly she was super interested in our joint account setup and when exactly we'd be combining finances. The wedding planning kicked into overdrive too. Lauren started upgrading everything. Better champagne, fancier centerpieces, the works. Each time I'd weakly protest about the cost and she'd reassure me it was our special day and worth every penny. Every time she said, like that, I'd think about her text to Jennifer. Worth every penny, indeed. Things got really interesting when Lauren started dropping hints about me quitting my job after the wedding. She kept mentioning her friend's husband, who started his own business, and how I was so talented and deserved to be my own boss. Translation: she wanted me unemployed and dependent while she drained my accounts. 2 weeks before the wedding, Lauren's mom came to town to help with final details. Interesting lady. I always thought she was nice, if a bit materialistic. Now I see where Lauren gets it from. Over dinner, she kept asking about our honeymoon plans, our housing situation, whether we were thinking of upgrading my car soon. Lauren's mom pulled me aside after dinner and told me how happy she was that her daughter had found such a stable provider. Not a loving partner, not a good man, a provider. Like I'm an ATM with legs. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I guess. That night, Lauren was extra affectionate, kept touching my arm, kissing my cheek, telling me how excited she was to be wonky Mrs. Derek Johnson. I smiled and said all the right things while feeling absolutely nothing inside. It's weird how someone you thought you loved can become a complete stranger in your mind. The next morning, I found a brochure for a luxury car dealership on the kitchen counter. Not even subtle anymore. Last weekend was my bachelor party, just a small thing with Richard and some other guys. I barely drank, needed a clear head. Richard kept asking if I was sure about my plan, kept saying it wasn't too late to just walk away. But I'm in too deep. Deep now. The venue deposits, the catering, the DJ, the flowers, tens of thousands of dollars on the line. Lauren thinks she's about to score the jackpot, but the house always wins. I spent this week finalizing everything, getting my ducks in a row, as my dad would say. New apartment lease signed, important documents secured, a carefully crafted message written and saved in my drafts. Tonight is the rehearsal dinner. Tomorrow is supposed to be our wedding day. Lauren just left to get her nails done for the big day. Her dress is hanging in our closet. $4,000 of white fabric and false promises. The weirdest part? Despite everything, there's this tiny voice in the back of my head that keeps asking if I'm making a mistake, if maybe I misunderstood something or jumped to conclusions. Then I reread her texts about leaving me. Once she gets my money, look at her active dating profiles, and that voice shuts right up. Richard is picking me up in an hour to go to the rehearsal. Lauren has no idea this is the last normal night of her life. No idea that while she's been planning to destroy my finances, I've been planning something too. Tomorrow morning, instead of putting on my tux and heading to the venue, I'll be sending her a very special wedding gift. A text message she'll never forget. I'm not even nervous anymore, just ready for this to be over. Edit. So many comments asking if I'm recording the fallout. Yes, Richard will be helping me with that. He's actually a pretty decent photographer, LOL. Edit 2. For those saying I should go through with the wedding and then divorce her, no way. In my state, even a marriage that short could mean I'd owe her something. Not risking it. Edit 3. To the person who asked if Lauren has any redeeming qualities. She used to, or maybe I just thought she did. It's crazy how you can rewrite your whole relationship history in your head once you see someone's true colors. Every sweet thing she did now seems calculated. Final update. The rehearsal dinner was weird. Standing next to Lauren, smiling for photos, accepting congratulations from people who had no idea what was really going on. Lauren's dad made this whole speech about welcoming me to the family and how happy he was that his daughter had found such a responsible man. If he only knew. I barely slept that night, not from nerves or second thoughts, but because I kept going over my plan. Everything had to be perfect. By 4 a.m., I was wide awake, staring at the ceiling fan in our guest bedroom. Lauren insisted we sleep separately the night before the wedding. Tradition or whatever. I got up, packed the last of my essential stuff into a duffel bag, and loaded it into my car while it was still dark. Lauren's a heavy sleeper, especially after the 2 bottles of wine she and her bridesmaids killed the night before. By 6 a.m., Richard texted that he was outside. I took one last look around the apartment. 3 years of my life in this place. The IKEA furniture we'd assembled together. The stupid decorative pillows Lauren insisted we needed. The framed photo of us from our first vacation. For a split second, I felt something. Not regret exactly, more like mourning for what I thought we had. Then I remembered her words. Once I get his money, I'll be gone in a month. And just like that, the moment passed. I met Richard outside. Dude looked more nervous than I was, kept asking if I was sure about this. I just nodded and got in his car. We drove to his place across town where I'd be staying for a few days until my new apartment was ready. The wedding was set for 2 p.m. By 9 a.m., my phone was blowing up with texts from Lauren about last-minute details, telling me not to be late, asking if I'd picked up my tux. I answered enough to not raise suspicion. Yes, got the tux. No, won't be late. Yes, remembered the rings. At exactly 10:30, I sent the text I'd been drafting and revising for days. Not too long, not too short, just enough to let her know exactly what I knew and what was about to happen. Lauren, I know everything. I heard you telling Jennifer you'd leave me after getting my money. I've seen your dating profiles, your secret credit cards, and all the texts about your plans. The wedding is off. I've moved out. Don't try to find me. The venue has been informed. Your stuff will be in the apartment until the end of the month, then management will dispose of it. The ring was a fake, by the way. Zirconia, not diamond. Guess we were both playing each other. Goodbye. I attached screenshots of her texts with Jennifer, photos of her dating profiles, pictures of the secret credit card statements, and an audio clip from girls' night where you can clearly hear her saying the "once I get his money" line, the full receipts. As they say online, I hit send, then immediately turned off notifications and handed my phone to Richard. He'd be monitoring the fallout while I focused on staying calm. We'd agreed that I'd check in every half hour, but otherwise would try to keep my mind off it. Yeah, that didn't work at all. 10 minutes after sending the text, my phone started blowing up. Lauren calling over and over and over, text messages flooding in. Richard, who was watching my phone, actually whistled when he saw the notifications piling up. First came the denial texts. "What are you talking about? This is crazy. Someone must have hacked my accounts." Then the anger. "You went through my private messages? How dare you? Recording me? This is illegal." Then the bargaining. "Derek, please, let's talk about this. I can explain everything. Don't walk away. 3 years over a misunderstanding?" By 11 a.m., she'd called 32 times and sent over 60 texts. Richard was reading them out loud while I paced around his living room, alternatively feeling sick and strangely calm. At 11:15, Lauren's mom called. I didn't answer. Then her dad. I didn't answer that either. Then Jennifer called. The audacity. At 11:45, Lauren started sending voice messages. Her voice sounded different, shaky, desperate, saying she was on her way to Richard's place. She knew we were friends, but had no idea where he lived, begging me to answer, saying there must be some explanation. How did she know I was at Richard's? I never told her that. Turns out she tracked my location through our shared Uber account that I'd forgotten to unlink. Richard and I quickly made a new plan. If she was coming here, I'd face her directly, rip the Band-Aid off, no more hiding. We waited. Richard poured me a drink even though it wasn't even noon. My hands were steady, but my insides felt like they were being run through a garbage disposal. At 12:30, Lauren's car screeched into Richard's driveway. I watched through the blinds as she got out, still in her pajamas, hair a mess, makeup smeared. For someone who was always so put together, she looked completely wrecked. Part of me felt bad, for a very small part. She banged on the door, calling my name. Richard looked at me one last time, asking with his eyes if I was sure. I nodded. He opened the door. Lauren pushed past him, spotted me standing in the living room, and just stopped. We stared at each other for what felt like forever, but was probably only seconds. Her eyes were red and puffy. Mine were probably cold as ice. She started talking fast, words tumbling out, said the texts were just jokes, said the dating profiles were old, said I was misinterpreting everything. Each lie made me feel more certain about what I was doing. I didn't yell, didn't curse, just asked her one question. Why? She couldn't answer, just kept repeating that I didn't understand, that she loved me, that we could work it out. I played the audio again right there in front of her, her own voice saying she'd leave once she got my money. Watching her face as she heard herself was, I don't even know how to describe it, like watching someone's mask slip off in real time. That's when she changed tactic, started crying, saying she'd been stupid, that she'd made a terrible mistake, that she really did love me. Asked if we could postpone the wedding, go to therapy, start over. I just shook my head, told her there were 183 people right now showing up to a wedding that wasn't happening, that her parents had spent thousands on a reception that no one would be attending, that she should probably go deal with that instead of wasting time trying to convince me. She got angry, then started crying, saying I'd ruined her life, that everyone would blame her, that I'd humiliated her. Richard stepped in when she tried to get in my face, gently but firmly guiding her toward the door. The last thing she said before leaving was that I'd regret this, that I'd never find anyone like her again. I just replied, that's the whole point. After she left, Richard and I just sat in silence for a while. My phone kept buzzing with calls from her family, her friends, even the wedding planner. I turned it off completely. Later that afternoon, I got an email from Lauren's dad. Unlike his daughter, his message was short and surprisingly respectful. Said he was sorry things ended this way, that he'd had no idea about Lauren's intention, and that he understood my action. Asked if we could talk sometime, man to man. I haven't decided if I'll respond. By evening, my social media was blowing up. Lauren had apparently told people the wedding was off because I'd cheated. Classic projection. Some mutual friends were already taking sides. I didn't bother correcting it. Those who matter will eventually learn the truth. I stayed at Richard's that night, drinking beer and playing Call of Duty like we were in college again. Didn't talk much about Lauren, just tried to process the fact that I was supposed to be at my wedding reception right then, starting my life with someone who'd been planning to destroy it. That was 3 days ago. I'm writing this from my new apartment. It's smaller than the one Lauren and I shared, but it's mine. No fake pillows, no live, laugh, love signs. Just my stuff and my space. Lauren's still trying to contact me through different numbers and accounts. I've blocked them all. According to Richard, who still follows her on Instagram, she's already posted some vague inspirational quote about staying strong through betrayal with a sad selfie. The comments are full of support from people who have no idea what really happened. Social media. Am I right? What's funny is that I don't even feel that angry anymore. Mostly just relieved. Like I dodged a bullet aimed straight at my heart and my wallet. The ring really was cubic zirconia, by the way. Had the real one appraised and sold, then bought a fake that looked identical and kept the difference. That money is now my starting over fund. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. I know I'll have trust issues for a while. Already turned down a coffee invite from a girl at the gym because my brain immediately went to, what's her angle? Not healthy, but I'm working on it. For now, I'm focusing on rebuilding. New place, new routine, new perspective on relationships and red flags. Lesson learned the hard way. To everyone who followed this saga and offered advice, thanks. Writing it out helped me stay sane through this cluster. Oh, and Jennifer texted me yesterday saying she never liked how Lauren treated me and asking if I wanted to grab drinks sometime. Left her on read. Some people really have no shame. Edit. To those asking for proof or saying this is fake, believe what you want. I've got bigger things to worry about than convincing internet strangers. Edit. Lauren's dad and I are meeting for coffee next. Not sure what will come of it, but feels like the right thing to do. Edit 3. For those asking if I'm ready to date again, hell no. Me and my trust issues are taking a nice long break from relationships.